Hello guys, welcome to Thermomix Adventures. Lisa here. Hey, today I'm going to show you how I make yogurt at my house. I've actually just got a batch that has finished and been put in the fridge, and I'm going to make another batch and show you how to save money with your Thermomix, because once you know how to make yogurt and you'll do it time and time again. So incredibly simple, but there is one extremely, or maybe two, important tips. One is which you need to have your Thermomix be non-used for anything else for 8 hours. So don't make this before you make dinner. Okay, I've got the blessing of two Thermomixes. I can therefore make in one and let that sit for 8 hours, and while the other one cooks dinner. So I'm not too worried about that, but just a mindfulness for you. Make sure you have time to have your Thermomix sit, especially if you've got a TM6. I'm going to be giving you the tips today for the TM5 and TM31. So don't look away if you have those models. Come with me and I'll show you how to do this. So making yogurt, it is cheap and it's actually really incredibly simple with a Thermomix, okay? And it uses some ingredients that I reckon you've got in your pantry. By the way, subscribe if you're on YouTube right now. Hit the subscribe button so you know when the videos come up. Those of you on Facebook, please like, hit replay, or engage in some way. Tell me if you make yogurt, if you know how. Now this is my recipe. You'll notice I've got a burnt bowl. It's okay, it's stuck on. I do need to citrus clean it. I'll try and put the link, if you've never cleaned a burnt bowl with citric acid, I'll put the link up there for later on, but it's really simple. It's not going to affect my yogurt this time because it's not a greasy, oily thing. It's literally stuck on. I need to cook it off. So I'm not worried, but a clean bowl is the second most important thing to having a good yogurt. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a stringy yogurt, and your stringy yogurt is going to have to turn into frozen yogurt, or there's a beautiful frozen yogurt ice cream online. There is also yogurt cake. Great way to use yogurt that doesn't turn out quite right. Save it, block into ice blocks, and use it for smoothies. Never waste your food with a Thermomix, okay? So I'm okay with that. It's not going to be a problem for me. First things first is I've got long life milk, okay? This is the key ingredient. This saves us a lot of time. If you've made yogurt the long way before, you cook up your yogurt, not your yogurt, you cook up your milk, pasteurizing it. Is it pasteurized? Homogenizing. No, you're pasteurizing it. You're cooking it till it's nice and piping hot, and then you let it cool. You get up to 90 degrees. We don't go over 90. If you are doing it with fresh milk, you don't go over 90. Otherwise, it burns to the bottom. Yeah? Dairy over 90 burns. Okay? So that's why you'll usually see things like, if you're making something with parmesan, they tell you to put the parmesan aside and then wash the bowl. Yeah, that's why. Because if you go and cook on the parmesan, it sticks to the bottom. Okay, so anyway, if you're using fresh milk, it goes up to 90 degrees, and then you gotta let it cool all the way down to 37, 40 degrees. Okay, I don't have the time or energy for that, so I am cheating and using long life milk. I always keep long life milk in my pantry for this purpose, okay? Because this is $3.60 or $3.80, and I can whip up 2 liters of yogurt. You cannot buy yogurt for under, what did I look it up before? It is $4.40 for home brand 1 liter, okay? So I can, for $3.80 with pantry ingredients, if you do have to go buy the milk powder and you have to buy the sugar, yes, it's going to come up to probably $5. But remember, I'm making 2 liters. So $8.80 for home brand yogurt, or $5 for my own, okay? So really great way to save money in your Thermomix. So I've got 2 liters of milk. I told you this is my own recipe, so you're going to have to watch on, take notes, okay? Now, I need to add to this some milk powder. This is my thickener, okay? This is a kilo. Usually the home brand one is what I use, and it's $10 for a kilo. So you're putting in 100 grams. So this would do 10 batches, yeah, of yogurt. So 100 grams milk powder, full cream. I've never tried on skim, so don't ask me if it works. I do not have experience. So 100 grams of this. Close enough. There we go. Okay. Next ingredient is some sweetener. Again, up to you how much. Oh, it's gone solid. But, oh, I wonder if it's salt. No, it's sugar. It's okay. Sugar. Sugar is important to add occasionally to your yogurt. You can do a few batches before you have to add sugar again, but the cultures require sugar to feed on. Okay, it does pull on the I think it's the lactose in the milk. So I'm sure someone will tell me if I've got the wrong bit in the milk. It's pulling out the sweetener in the milk, okay? But at some point it needs a top up. So I tend to put about 30 grams in, but we're talking in 2 liters, yeah? It's not much at all. And really, it's feeding the cultures. When we make our own kombucha, similarly, it's got sugar in it. That's what it feeds on, okay? Most, when you're making breads, if you want a really fluffy loaf, you put sugar into it. The yeast feeds on it, yeah? Okay, so last ingredient, we need the scales reset, is yogurt. Now, as I said, I've just made a batch. It's just come out of the fridge, and I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like. Here is my leftover, okay? Now, I call it leftover because I make exactly what you're seeing here today. This is 2 liters of milk. By the way, if you have a TM31, you need to just use 1.8. You need a little bit of capacity for your other stuff. TM5, you have the same capacity as I do. TM6, you're fine, obviously. You're going to make 2.2 liters if you put 2 liters of long life milk in, okay? So in the end, you end up with a beautiful leftover portion, which becomes your starter. It is free. It costs your previous batch. Make sure the kids don't eat it in my house. And then, I don't know if you can see that, the lights are so glary, but this is my 2 liters. Oh, pick it up without dropping it. My 2 liters worth of homemade yogurt in the awesome ice cream containers, by the way, from the mix shop. Okay, these are the ice cream tubs. And I just, once it's done, decant it into these, and I've got my little leftover patch. So I've got 1 litre, 2 litre, and the little 200 grams left, approximately 200 grams. So that little 200 grams left is going to become my starter. Just grab this spoon back, and I need 100 grams of it. So in this goes, I think it's most of it. There you go. And there's a spoonful left if you want to have a little taste test yourself. And now all I'm going to do is put my lid on. I need to combine this first. At the moment, it's a bit too chunky. So back to the driving screen. You're going to just put it on for 4 seconds, speed 6. All we've done here is we've pulled all that mix together, okay? Otherwise, if you try and ferment it at that point in time, you've got everything separate still. So there we go. That's where we're at. We're all combined. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to put it on a fermenting mode. It is as simple as that. So on a TM6, we swipe sideways. We find fermenting. Now, fermenting mode is preset at 70 degrees. 70 degrees is too hot to ferment in the bowl. I'm going to scale this all the way around, and I'm going to put it on 40 degrees. In summer, I put it on 37. Okay, it is cold here at the moment, especially in the afternoons and evenings. We're going into that time now, in the mornings and overnight. So I put it on 40. You do not ever want to do anything over 40 because otherwise it cooks it and kills it, okay? Kills those beautiful cultures that we're trying to promote in there. So all we do, it's got 8 hours, 40 degrees, activate fermenting mode. It's going to warm that up for a moment, and it's going to hold that temperature for you for the next 8 hours. And then you're going to pour it into whatever containers you want to store it in, like I did in the gorgeous mix shop containers. Okay, and you're going to put it in the fridge, and you're going to enjoy it. Now, you can flavour this with vanilla if you like. Don't get too crazy putting syrups and stuff into it because it can affect the cultures. You're better off stirring, say, a jam into it at the end. Swirl it through as you pour it out at the end. Okay, now you will need a funnel to pour it out because you know when you scoop yogurt the first time, it's solid, it sticks together, right? So if you try and pour it into here, it just doesn't work. I had to use my stainless steel one from the mix shop, okay, and just pour it into that, and then it fell in really nicely. Otherwise, it was going to go all over my bench, guaranteed. But that is literally the simplicity of yogurt. Now, TM31 and TM5 people, little memo for you. You don't have fermenting mode like this, okay? You need to keep yours warm somewhere. So before you do anything about taking it out and keeping it warm somewhere, you need to actually heat it up, because as much as it's heat treated, it is cold, and the cultures like to be warm. You can see my little temperature's gone 37 degrees there, or 40. Yours needs to kind of get up to that 40 degrees before you can ferment it somewhere warm. So what you need to do is you just need to put yours on at 40 degrees, give it 7 minutes, I would say, if it's not up to 40 degrees at that point in time. And by the way, this is long life milk. This is not fresh milk. If you were using fresh, different video, okay? You've got to heat it up, let it cool down for like an hour or so, then you do this process, okay? Because you're heat treating it. The long life stuff is already heat treated for us. So just want to make sure no one gets that wrong. But TM31 and TM5, you need to get yours up to 40, and then you put it in your thermoserver. Preheat your thermoserver, okay? Put some little bit of boiling water in it, put the lid on, tip it out, then put your beautiful milk into it, put the lid on. I say milk, your milky liquid here, and then leave it sit for 8 hours. Now, if it's super cold at your house, put that thermoserver in a esky bag. You know the ones at the supermarket? Put it in one of those. You need to give it a nice warm spot to stay warm for 8 hours, okay? So that's what you're trying to achieve there. Very many years ago, I used to have pre-Thermomix. There was a brand of like a thermos you could buy that actually had the water around the outside on the bottom, the boiling water, and then you put your jug in the center, and then that kind of insulated it for 8 hours. If you've got one of them, you could use that. All we're doing is we need to keep it just that little bit warm for the 8 hours for the cultures to develop and get beautiful set yogurt. All right, so that is how you do it if you've got a TM31 or a TM5. I did that for years. I had a TM31, I had a 5. That's how I did it in my thermoserver, okay? It just needs to make sure it's enough capacity, so your 2.2 litre will be good enough, or if you've got a 2.6, that will work fine as well. But preheat it first because the stainless steel is cold. So the moment you put 40-degree liquid into cold stainless steel, that temperature will drop down to about 30 and it's not warm enough to continue it on. So a little bit of boiling water, just a centimetre, lid on for a second, take the lid out, pour it out. Now you're good to go. Fill it up. Don't dry it out or anything, just a little bit of residue will not matter. Okay, pour it in, lid on, and do not disturb. Try not to move it, shake it. And I'm going to tell you a story just before I go. So yesterday, day before I made this yogurt, it was on the bench. It was on the bench, cooking in the Thermomix, as you're about to see, when fermenting mode in a moment is going to stall and just stay stationary. So fast forward a few hours, and somebody got out the air fryer to reheat some meat, and they wanted to unplug something. So there's 4 power points. Which one do they pull out? The one that had the fermenting Thermomix on. Now, something to be known about fermenting mode, and I don't know if you've noticed, but it literally just stopped stirring now. Okay, so it has been going for 5 minutes and it's stirred. Fermenting mode is amazing, but it always stirs for 5 minutes first. So after it got stalled, and I had to go through an unexpected shutdown, start up again, I could not just put my bowl, while the bowl was still in, I couldn't just go resume recipe, right? Because it was going to kick off at, like, all I could do was kick off at the fermenting step. Like, it wasn't even a step, right? I wasn't following a recipe. I couldn't put fermenting without it stirring. But I'm now halfway through a recipe. We do not want to disturb the Thermomix or that yogurt fermenting more so halfway through a recipe. So I was like, quick, what do I do? So just like a TM31 or a TM5, I carried my bowl and I found the warmest place in our house, which is our battery system of our house. And I put it in there, and I have an old plastic box, those just big ones. I actually usually use it to seed start. I put it over my seeds as like a greenhouse. Well, the Thermomix bowl went under it while it was on the battery system to keep it warm for the remaining 3.5 hours. So something to know about fermenting mode is it's going to stir. So you need to just know that it's going to stir so that you know when you can or can't use it. I could not pick up my recipe halfway through and put it back on fermenting because it was going to stir for 5 minutes and disrupt that process. And yogurt will still ferment. It will still be yogurt. Will it be scoopable? It will be incredibly runny. It'll still be yogurt. I would have had to use it for little freezer blocks or things like that, as I made mention of how I would use it if it did actually not work because for whatever reason, right? So before I go though, let me just show you the texture of this beautiful yogurt, okay? So little bowl. Where can I do it where you guys can see? Oh, that's hiding, isn't it? Up the top it is. Good old ice cream scoop. Now you got to remember with this one, it's not pot set, it's bowl set. So I have transferred the whole lot already in here, yeah? So get my beautiful ice cream scoop. Don't know if this actually works as an ice cream scoop. You can see the texture. See how thick it is? It even holds its form to a little extent, and in it goes. So that's what you can expect from this yogurt. Okay, if you make this at home exactly as I have, this is your texture because you've transferred it out. Now, if you want to make one that is wait for that to catch up, like literally a bowl set where when you scoop it out, you've got the spoon. And I've got to say, I took some photos yesterday when I put it in the fridge. Actually, and then more so, not when I put it in the fridge, when I put it out of the fridge, and then I went to use the funnel, right, to put it into small containers. I took some photos, and you'll see there, if you don't transfer it out of this, it's actually scoopable, and that you've got that spoon indent. It doesn't fall back into itself. It is fully, what's that called, like solidified. So if you want a bowl set one, okay, you need to do it differently to this. I have yogurt videos that show you how to do that. I'll put them up there on YouTube, okay? So those of you on YouTube, I'll put the links up there for you. That actually requires you just ferment it in a big vessel in the varoma. You'll still use fermenting mode, but you're going to use a different temperature. I won't confuse anybody over now, so I'm going to stop. But fermenting mode's amazing. If you've got a TM6, give it a go. Yogurt, it will save you so much money if you can master this, and it's honestly not hard. Clean bowl, make sure you don't need the thermi bowl, make sure you're happy to, leave the thermi sit. Overnight is usually ideal. And yeah, like you can just make it for the cost of, if you've got your pantry stocked, the cost of 2 of these, like you can't go wrong. Anyway, I hope this inspires you to give it a go. When you do give it a go, reach out. If you've got questions as you're making it, just ask, okay? Don't let anything go to waste. Don't, I'll just try it just in case. No, reach out, okay? I've been making yogurt for years. Did I say custard before? Anyway, I've been making yogurt for years. So, I've made mistakes along the way. I generally know how to fix them or recycle them or reuse them. So don't be a stranger. And if I can help you with anything regarding your Thermomix, even if it's not yogurt related, reach out. I'd love to hear from you. But otherwise, guys, thanks for joining me today. Remember to subscribe over there. I will put this recipe in my next newsletter out, which isn't coming out for another couple of weeks yet. I know lots of you are subscribers already. No need to resubscribe. That's okay. But if you haven't got my newsletters over the last few months, either go check your junk or resubscribe then. But otherwise, take care, guys, and I'll see you in the next video soon. Bye for now.